Hello everyone. Today we are going to have the training for the Sketch module in ZW3D. And first, let me introduce myself. My name is Sam Lee, and I am the Application Engineer in Overseas Technical Department. Today's training will be divided into 4 parts. In the first part, I will have the basic introductions for the 2D sketch, and in the second part, I will introduce the basic applications, include the basic setting, drawing functions, constraint and dimensions, and finally, I will take an example to show you how to create a 2D sketch in ZW3D. In the third part, I will introduce the high-level applications, includes the trace profile, parametric sketch, and so on. And finally, in the fourth part, I will introduce the 3D sketch. Okay, let's start the first part. 2D sketch introduced. So what is 2D sketch? 2D sketch is normally used for the solid modeling. And no matter how complicated the solid modeling are, the 2D sketch is needed as the base to build the shape. So how to create the 2D sketch in ZW3D? In ZW3D, we provide 3 different ways to create the sketch. The first method is to find the sketch tools from the Shape ribbon tab. And the second way is to right-click on the working block and then select the sketch. And the third method to use the sketch module is extrude the basic shape commands such as the extrude, and then single-click the right mouse in the working block and then select the sketch. So after we call out the sketch tool, we need to define the datum plane and we need to define the plane and orientations. In ZW3D, we can select the datum plane, solid surface, and the new datum plane as the located plane. For the directions, the drawing plane oriented by axis directions and the reverse horizontal direction. Okay, let's move to ZW3D to show you how to create this 2D sketch. As I mentioned, there are 3 different ways to open the sketch in ZW3D. And the first way is to find it under the Shape ribbon tab. First, we select the plane and define the orientation. And for this case, we select the Z-axis. Then select the origin. The default origin is the 0 point. Now we have entered the sketch level. Another way to create a sketch is to right-click the model space and find the sketch. We use the same way, select the plane, direction, and origin to enter the sketch level. The third way to find the sketch command is under the extrude command, so which can be found here. We also select the sketch, define the plane, and the orientation, and then we enter the sketch level. In the second part, I will introduce the basic applications of the 2D sketch. First, I will introduce the sketch interface of ZW3D. As you can see, this is the user interface of ZW3D. And on the left hand, this is the manager, and which is normally used to check the modeling process, modeling history, and other things. And on the top left, you can find a lot of different kinds of drawing tools. With these drawing tools, you can create this line, draw the circle or rectangle, and so on. And on the right hand, you can find the dimension and constraint tools to add a constraint or mark the dimensions for the sketch. And in the bottom right, we have the management switch. For example, for this icon, you can turn on or turn off the manager. And this icon is to turn off the file browsers and the reuse library. And this icon to call out the Outlook window. And here, as you can see in the top of the working block, there is the DA toolbar. And I will introduce more details for the DA toolbar later in this tutorial. Okay, let's move to the sketch basic setting. And first, I will introduce the DA toolbar. As you can see in the last slide, ZW3D have the DA toolbar, which can provide some tools which are frequently used in the drawings. It includes the filter, such as the peak filters and the snap filter. And the grid functions to turn on, turn off the grid, and this icon to choose always display color code on and off. And this is the open ends on and off, and this is the close ring on and off. Also, the DA toolbar can display the default XY axis or the construction geometry on and off. Let's move to the ZW3D to show you how to use these sketch tools from the DA toolbar. So in the DA toolbar, we provide abundant useful tools. And as I mentioned, we have the filter tools, such as the snap filter. With the snap filter, we can enable smart pixel correspondences, such as the parallel, perpendicular, or the point on curve, on point vertically. And for example, when I take the parallels, and then I can draw the line parallel to this line. Okay. And also, we have the peak filters, which can be found here. So, with the peak filters, you can select the eligible object quickly, and you can take the different kinds of the objects, such as a circle, dimension, symbol, and it will help you to select the object quickly. And another thing that we introduce is the grid tools, which can also be found in the DA toolbar. You can choose to turn on the grid point or the grid line. And also, you can use this icon to turn off the grid. Besides, you can customize the space of the grid, which can be found from the setting. So, here, for example, let me change the grid spacing to 10 millimeters, and then click OK. And you can see the spacing for the grid will be changed to the customized value. Okay, let's move to another functions, and which is also very useful. And this one is always display color code on and off. With these functions, it can show the constraint status of the sketch. And for example, if you see the blue color, which means it is well defined, and for the black color, it means it is underdefined. So you can choose turn on or turn off the color display. And on the right hand of the display color code, there is the display open end. So when you turn on these functions, it will show the open end. And for example, for this case, the line end will be displayed by the blue rectangle, which means this is open end. So you can turn on or turn off it. In DA toolbar, we also have the close ring on and off. So when you turn off the close ring will be in green color after you turn it on. And when you turn off it, there will be no color for the close ring. And here is the default XY axis. So you can choose to turn on the XY axis or not. Another very useful function is the construction geometry. So when you turn off this icon and then draw the sketch, you will create the construction line. And if you turn off it, you will draw the solid line. And apart from this icon, you can also select the relevant line and single-click the right mouse to switch between the construction line and the solid line. Alright, let's move back to the PowerPoint. In this page, I will introduce the basic drawing workflow in ZW3D. As you can see, the first step is to create a sketch and then join the dotted line as the center line. And step 2 is to draw the profile. And after that, we can add a constraint and the dimensions for the profile. And in step 4, we can use the checking tool which I mentioned in the DA toolbar to check the sketch is well defined or not. And finally, we finish the sketch creation. Let's move to another functions. This is the draw tool. This command can draw the line, semicircle, circle, arc, and spline. You can draw the line, semicircle, circle, arc, and spline by the Draw tool. As you can see here, if you want to create a line, you just use the default setting. Right-click to select the first point, and then define the second point. And if you want to create a semicircle, right-click the mouse to select the first point, and then press Alt from the keyboard, and right-click to select the second point. And after that, loosen Alt and select the second point again. You will create a semicircle. If you want to create a circle, press Alt and right-click the mouse to define the first point, and then loosen Alt to define the second point. If you want to create an arc, right-click to select the first point, and then press Alt and right-click the mouse to select the second point. And in the step 3, loosen Alt and select the third point. For the spline, you can see from these pictures, you can right-click the mouse to select the first point and press Alt to select the second and third point, and then loosen Alt to select the fourth point. Let me show you in ZW3D. You can find the Draw tools from the Sketch ribbon tab. Click it, and if you want to draw the line, press the left mouse to select the 2 point. And if you want to create a semicircle, select the Draw tools, use the left mouse to select the first point, and press Alt to select the second point. After that, loosen Alt and click the second point again. You can create a semicircle. So if you want to create a circle, press Alt to select the first point, and then loosen Alt to select the second point of the circle. If you want to create an arc, left-click the mouse to select the first point, and then press Alt to select the second point. After that, to select the third point on the arc to create the arc. The last one I will introduce is to use the Draw tools to create a spline. So, first, left-click the mouse to define the first point, and after that, press Alt to select the second point and the third point, and after that, loosen Alt to select the fourth point. So, you can create a spline with the Draw tool. Let's move to another section. It's the basic drawing functions. So first, let me take a rectangle as example to show you the drawing basic pattern in ZW3D Sketch module. In ZW3D, we have the different drawing types in different patterns. So as you can see from this window, we have several different ways to create a rectangle. For example, you can divide the center point and the corner point to create the rectangle, or you can choose the opposite corner to create a rectangle, and other ways also. And for the dimensions, we have the lock functions. You can lock the parameters. So after you lock in the parameters, the length of the created graphic will be set to the preset values. Let's move to ZW3D to show you the basic drawing functions in Sketch module. In this part, I will take the rectangle as example. As you can see, we provide the different drawing types in different patterns. You can select center and the corner point to create the rectangle, or select the 2 corner points to create a rectangle. And we also provide other drawing patterns for different requirements. Besides, we provide the lock icon, which can lock the parameters. So if you turn on the lock icon, and then the length of the created graphic will be the preset value. Besides, for the point selections, we provide different kinds of useful tools. You can select the point by middle, center of the curvatures, and so on. And with these point selection tools, it will help you easily to create a sketch. And next, I will introduce is the text in ZW3D. We provide 3 different kinds of text in the Sketch module, and first one is the Ready Sketch text, which can be participated in the modeling. And the second one is the normal text, which cannot participate in any modeling operations. And third one is balloon. And this type is normally used to add some notes for the sketch, and it will always parallel to the rotation angle of the view. So let me show you in the ZW3D. As I mentioned, ZW3D provides 3 different kinds of text tools, and the first one is the ready sketch. Let me create an example for you. And then is the traditional sketch. And the third one is the balloon, which is normally used to add some note or the comments for the sketch. As I mentioned, only the ready sketch can be used for the solid modeling. So when we use this extrude command, and as you can see, only the ready sketch can be extruded. And for the balloon, as I mentioned, it will always parallel to the rotation angle, no matter how you rotate it. Next I'm going to introduce is the constraint and dimension tools. In ZW3D, we have 2 types of constraint tools. And the first one is the specified type constraint, and the second one is an automatically recommended type constraint. For the specified type constraint, we provide various kinds of the constraint type, such as the parallel, perpendicular, tangent, and coincidence, and so on. For the automatic recommend type constraint, you can select the sketch geometry first, and the system will automatically judge the matching constraint type, and then you can find the required type to complete the constraint addition. So let me show you in ZW3D. For the specified type constraint, which can be found from here, as you can see, there are various kinds of the constraints, such as the horizontal, vertical, point to middle point, and from here you can find the perpendicular, symmetrical, horizontal, and so on. Let me show you an example. For this case, let me choose the tangent and select the first curve and then the second curve. And after that, the tangent constraint will be added. And for the automatically recommend type constraint, you can open it first and then select the object, and the system will recommend the suitable constraints. And after that, you select the required type. And for this case, I will choose the tangent. And you will also add the constraint very conveniently. Apart from the 2 type constraint I mentioned in the last slide, ZW3D also have a very intelligent and convenient constraint tools. We call it auto constraints. With the auto constraints, you can quickly add the required constraint and annotations to the selected sketch and achieve the complete constraint on the sketch. Let me take an example to show you how to use the auto constraints. First, we can find the auto constraints from the sketch ribbon tab, and then define the base point and select all the entities. And after that, the suitable constraint will be added automatically. And let me show you. When I turn off this icon, the blue color shows this sketch is well defined. And there are some tips for the auto constraint. So we recommend you to use the auto constraint for the remaining parts of the site after manually constrains the key assembly dimensions. And the second tip is, in auto constraints, all the dimensions and constraints are for reference only. If some dimensions and constraints do not achieve the desired effect, you need to manually modify it. Let's move to the next part. In this part, I will introduce the sketch checking tools, which can also be found under the sketch ribbon. As you can see from this slide, we provide the 4 different kinds of the sketch checking tools. And the first one is the overlap checking. With the overlap checking, you can check whether there are some overlapping lines on the sketch. And after that, when you find some overlap, you can delete the overlap line. The second one is show constraints. With these tools, it can check all the constraints of the sketch. You can use this tool to delete the unreasonable constraints. And the third tool is the constraint status. With these tools, it can show the number of missing constraints and the number of this constraint in the current sketch. And this one is normally used to checking if the drawing is well defined. The fourth one is the conflicting constraints. And this is normally used to show the conflicting constraints to make sure the drawing is well defined. Let me show you the sketch checking tools in ZW3D. First one is the overlap. With these tools, you can check whether there are some overlap in the sketch. And for this case, you can find there the overlapping line is highlighted. And then you can delete it by using these tools. The second sketch checking tool is show constraints. You can select the object to check all the related constraints for the selected object. And the third one is the constraint status. With this constraint status, you can check, for this case, you can find there are 4 entities under constraint. And you can move to the detail. And you can click this arrow to check the detail. And also, we have the conflicting constraint checking tools. You can find the conflicting constraint from these managers, and then you can delete the conflicting one. And after that, the sketch will be well defined. Okay, we finished the first part of the sketch tutorial, and in the next part, I will take an example to show you how to create a sketch in ZW3D sketch module. Alright, thank you for your listening. See you next time.